I would like to introduce our own Professor Dr. Kaustav Sengupta, who is co-chairing this event. He is an alumnus of NIFTCH, and he has been here more than 20 years. I am very personally privileged and honored to talk about him. I have been associated with him more than 17 years since I have joined. He's a very intellectual person, I could say, where he's also icon for this center. And many, I think, out of 20, all the centers, almost all the centers know about him as a fashion forecast intellectual. So his core area is fashion forecasting, tech design, AI, and youth marketing. So he has been associated with our department also in teaching fashion forecasting, and he is the pioneer, and he is the director, insights and principal investigator for the first ever national initiative Vision Next. He is also known for such a profile. He has been invited for many national and international forums to discuss about fashion education and then fashion forecasting. And he has presented his research skill. As I told, I personally also admire his research, presentations, where he has presented more than 30 papers, national and international papers. Welcome you, sir. Though it is a formal welcome. So I now request Professor Kaustav Sengupta to introduce the chair and the roundtable speakers so that we can start the session formally.
Thank you, Dr. Shashi. Dr. Shashi herself is an eminent person in statistics. We always go back to her for help. But let me introduce our chair. It's my privilege to introduce Jayashree Madam. And Jayashree Madam is heading Spastic Society of Tamil Nadu as a director from 2011 onward. I know her personally and the dedication what she has towards her work. But apart from that, she is also principal psychologist and head of multidisciplinary team, Association of Persons of Special Needs, Singapore, and then she has been part of multiple paper presentations, publications across India. I think it's a great privilege to have her for this particular topic and the domain as the chair. Welcome, ma'am. And we have a very young alumni with us, Mr. Pradeep, and he's in the sweeter side of life. So he's an entrepreneur, and he runs a business on faludas. So we bring him here because we also like to show that fashion and design is beyond what we perceive, because gastronomy is very well integrated in the context of design. I think he will talk about it when we are going into the panel discussion. But welcome, Pradeep. We have Dr. Aditi. Dr. Aditi, I personally know her as a leader. Dr. Aditi heads the School of Design and Arts in Boston University. She has been part of multiple social initiatives. I think she has started a school and a thought space for the design inclusion in society. Also storytelling as a school of research. And she will be able to add a lot of thought in the process, I believe, as a panel. So this is our esteemed team who will be judging also your paper and giving feedback on your paper. So I think it's a good opportunity to also get a feedback from academia, from someone who's working in social science and someone who is exploring a different context of business. I myself being part of a charitable trust. We work with children in a personal context for a long time. So we are very passionate as a team. We are very passionate to talk about the topic today, what is given to you. So we'll open it for the panel discussion first. We'll have a 20 minutes panel discussion and then we'll move to your paper presentation. We request you to keep your papers presented within 8 minutes so that we can get 2 to 3 minutes to ask questions, and maybe the feedback or the esteemed team can give it to you. My job is to just coordinate it so that the feedback will come from the team as such. So to open the panel, it's very interesting because the context of something what we are talking about, social imagination, is pretty new in the context of design and academia at this moment, because it has been there but we never talked about as a jargon or a word as part of it. So my question to Dr. Aditi will be, how do you think this project is going to impact design in next 10 years? Do you think it's going to be a impactful space for even designers and fashion thinkers as part of it? As an academia, what do you think about it? Because we always talk about sustainability, and this is the first time we are talking about social design or a social space in design, especially in imagination. So what is your opinion in this context?
Thank you, Dr. Kaustubh, for the question. Am I
You
audible?
can take a mic.
Am I audible? It's a very
IT में कौन कोई और project में और basic
So I think this discussion is very, very important at this moment. I'm just taking a pause and saying that if you see the current world situation, the world is going through a major geopolitical crisis, right? There are war, there are loss of life, there are uncertainty, people are derooted from their place. And at the same time, if you come down to the local space also, you will find that uncertainty is there. So, I also personally believe that design is not something a very separate domain. Design is an end-to-end process which can add value to all domains, right? So, in that case, students need, any students, since I'm educated, I'm talking about more in a student's perspective than in a professional perspective. I think each student should take minimum one project in their throughout 4 years or 2 years of journey to understand that how social innovation space work. I just want to give, since there is a limitation of time and we have a brilliant panel, everybody has a lot of things to share. I'll just give an example of one project what we have taken 4 years back. 4 years back, and the school is situated in a green belt, that is away from the city. It's a rural zone. And 4 years back, we realized that we are constantly talking about empathy, we are constantly talking about community, but we are actually not doing it. We are talking. We are going to the class, we are talking. Design projects is also a lot of time addressing, but we are not doing it. So we started a project for social innovation. Many of you are familiar with this work. But how do we do it? We taken, Dr. Kaustubh, please stop me if I'm crossing that way. We have taken 2 weeks of project, and 1 week students will be in the campus. Another week they will go to the nearby village known as Kamboli village. Now the first week we are trying to give them a lot of case studies where ethics is also involved, social innovation cases are involved. But at the same time we try to tell them how system and subsystem and context work and how it connected with each other. Then the next week we take 170 students. Just imagine 170 students to the local village, which is a walking distance. You can take an auto, but we deliberately tell the students they have to walk down and they have to come down from the village to the college by walking until and unless they have a health issue. Now, when they go, they start the same system mapping in the village, and foundation to it because we get a real experience when we enter the family. We sometimes realize that, and just want to give a context that the university is a private university and we cater to the very privileged students. They're coming from a very, very privileged background. This is the last note. Last year in 2024, I was in Manchester. I was presenting in a conference and I was talking with one of the professors from Netherlands and I told this is what exactly I'm doing. I'm showing him the film on social immersion and he told I would like to come and experience the social immersion. He came all the way from Netherlands. It's a 21-day immersion. He was with us and now he feels that this social immersion has a lot of impact on the students from Netherlands, those who are starting social entrepreneurship, and he wanted to come with his students. So this is a note that I think is very, very important.
Thank you. Thank you, Dr. Aditi. Sadam, mic power. So I will ask Mr. Pradeep. It's very interesting that you have explored a new domain for design and fashion entrepreneurship as part of it. So how do you think a business as yours is inclusive? And is it something, because I still remember there was a Tamil movie, I don't know how many of you are Tamilians, but there's a Tamil movie called Kaka Muttai that spoke about the aspiration level of two children from a slum to have a pizza. So, and then finally he understands pizza is nothing just like a naan and roti. So is this Faluda is an aspirational level where you want to bring it to everyone in a social inclusion that a little ice cream can give them an opportunity to test a different world? How this business idea came and how you think it's an inclusive process as such?
All right. First of all, I'm from NIFTCH-MoYAS. Okay. So I don't know this to say this. I'm part of from 2003 2007 batch. I have a crazy career. So I was heading a factory, government factory in Chennai. Then I did my MBA. Then okay, it's a small room. Hello. Yeah. All right. So after that, I was placed for an FMCG distribution company in Dubai, and then I was heading, before quitting the job, I was heading Oracle India repair operations. It's a crazy career, right? After Oracle, I started selling faludas. So we have around 18 outlets now in India and Dubai. So to answer this question, there's some connection issue.
Some connection issue.
Okay.
Go ahead.
We'll start. You said they will not hear it. All right. So to answer the two questions, it's not about Faluda now. I want to talk about the social inclusiveness here. All right. We as a design student, nobody is touching the field which is considered as taboo. Right. We are all falling to the glamorous part of the fashion business. Just I want to know how many are from NIFTCH founders, like how many NIFTCH founders we have, founders from NIFTCH who has done something to the affordable sanitary pads. Nobody has done that. Because so that's the social inclusiveness. We are leaving that. We are leaving to somebody, the multinationals are, capitalizing on that. We are not even bothered. Let's make that, with the design skill and other stuff, let's make them hippie and do that. And how many of us designed exclusive designer wear for a physically challenged person? They are left alone. Nobody is even bothered for them, right? So they, if you carefully look at them, the attire they wear is all, folded and stuff. Nobody has designed that. So that's the social inclusiveness which I'm talking about. So as a student of NIFT and other design students, design institutes, you should focus on that part. So you should have an empathy for people who are just like us. Because we don't want to make our hand dirty. That's the reality, right? Because when we think about fashion and stuff, we are all fall into the glamorous thing only. So that's the thing which I'm talking about. That's what we should focus and do that. And there's a huge opportunity for that. Yeah, so that's what I want to convey on the social inclusiveness part. And Faluda is an aspirational fruit. So what we're doing is from the business perspective. So Faluda is an aspirational fruit, and there is no organized player in the category. So what we are going to do is we make it as organized Indian dessert, and we are trying to take it to global. Okay, with the knowledge whatever I have, with the various experiences wherever I have got right. So with that, so we are fine-tuned and we are ready to scale. So I was talking about that part. Social inclusiveness is mainly from the student perspective. We should focus on every walk of life to understand, empathize with people who you see on the streets. So that's what I was talking about.
Thank you. I will ask the last question to Jayashree ma'am. Not to last question, I would like to have her add it in the process, because with her experience of decades with specially able children, and I still remember one word what she told along that. She said that when you come to the school, you understand how lucky you are because your child is not in the school. Right? At certain point, you told me that, and we normally take it for granted, but then when you go to the school, you understand it better. But in a design perspective, I would like to add something for the researchers and students. With your experience, what do you think as social inclusion should be, so that we can just give a message to them as part of it?
Thank you. Now, I will not say the thing what I said 14 years back, because my worldview is also evolving over a period of time. I would urge all the young people who are into social media and such other things, don't find your inspiration in the lived lives of people with disabilities. It's like an inspirational porn. I'm using this word very responsibly. So it's not when you see a disabled person achieving something, we go out of the world to say, you're my inspiration, don't do that. So that is something I want to put this in context. Coming back to the question you have asked. In many ways, many of you have, well, let's start statistic, because at the end of the day, each one of you will be looking at business and metrics around it, scalability and other things. The love of the community, everybody does that. But as a population, people with disabilities, including the elderly community, we are looking at somewhere around 16% of the total population. So in terms of marketing potential in that space, we need to leverage how it can be done. And before you actually start, as young adults who are very aspirational and other things, instead of asking yourself what looks good to start off as an hypothesis, you would perhaps ask yourself, who is it for? What lived experiences and social narratives they have to share with us, which is where the walkabout brings in a lot of nuanced layers when you observe people in person, what we call it as participatory approach to understanding lived narratives. Correct me if I'm wrong. So, how does their life impact what they do and how they do? Of course, somehow, correct me if I'm wrong, often I design the kind of high-end design that you do, I call it as urban luxury, But you have to come out of that space and look at all lived experiences, which just also includes people who are migrating from one place to another. Don't just look at disability as one single concept, which has statistically very significant numbers worldwide, and in India too. You have one section of people who are elderly people who are like me, 60 plus, who may have the money in their pocket, but you need to leverage on that space. There are a lot of people with and see what sort of taste designs they have. So, and all of you know, I don't have to reiterate it, even people with disability creativity, the sense of independence, the sense of purpose, and identity is really important. And that would be that sweet spot that you should look for when you are creating. And I have one request: always co-design with the user, because that is where the narrators will weave in and completely alter your understanding and perspectives. But that's where understand their social story, the stories that they share with you, and that will give you a spark and an idea, I suppose. Although I'm not an expert in this field, but I just believe that a lot of people, for some strange reason, people with disability and socioeconomic status often are like the two sides of the coin. So, with the lived experience of each narratives that we know, I met a mother whose son celebrated his 60th birthday, and she just told me, till date he has not said Amma, because he's non-oral in communication. So this is the kind of lived experiences that I encounter by the second. And that when I teach, although I'm so long in this field, and that lady shared that with me, and she shared the street and said, this is my son's 60th birthday, and then she said that, it hurts me, it moves me, it makes me think. I hope I've answered.
So you answered. I think that's an amazing worldview. Just to add here is that it's not about English, is not only about specially individuals. Our country is aging, and in the next 20-25 years we'll have more than 340 million silver hairs, right? And then we are not thinking, we still think fashion is for the younger people, bright and colorful, but the country is quietly aging. And when we say aging population, the need of aging population for a garment to ice cream is very different, because you cannot add fat in it, because that's how it's supposed to be. No sugar, no fat. So we need to have a different worldview towards design in next 20-25 years, because the world is moving in a very interesting dynamics when it comes to population and the number of our species. And I think you should look at it in that way. Thank you. We'll move to the discussion. I hope this little panel discussion helped you to find out different opportunities, what Dr. Aditi talked about, her initiative, and Mr. Pradeep spoke about the way you should include designs, and added the context of bringing in the wearer and the user in the context of design. I think that's a beautiful approach. Let's move to the paper presentations. We are anxiously waiting for the book papers to listen. Request again is to keep the 8 minutes and 2 to 3 minutes for the discussion. Thank you. We'll start?
Yes.
Okay. So do we have a list of the so now you can go to the papers and just add them up.
She joined, no? She's there. She's there. We can just announce. We'll just announce, no? We'll start with Amrita. We can start.
Oh, we can get a feedback. As a panel, you can just get
No, but she doesn't know she has to start.
Hello.
Hi, sir.
Hi.
Can I share my screen?
Yes, please go ahead.
Is it visible, sir?
Not yet. Yeah, just now. Just now.
Okay, perfect.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, okay. I would like to start with a quote by Steve Jobs, who said, "Innovation is the ability to see change as an opportunity and not a threat." The beauty industry today is going through a significant change, especially with the convergence of beauty and wellness. Instead of seeing this shift as a disruption, This project explores how it can be seen as an opportunity for retailers like Sephora to expand into new categories like strategic partnership and product innovation. And that idea led to the development of Core Radiance by Sephora. Good afternoon, my name is Amrita Christie and today I will be presenting Core Radiance. This project explores how a beauty retailer can enter the ingestible beauty and wellness space through a dual format product by using strategic licensing, omni-channel retail, and education-driven marketing. The project is not just about developing a product, but about designing a system that makes the product feasible, scalable, and trustworthy within the beauty and wellness market. The starting point for this project was observing how the beauty industry is changing. Consumers today no longer see beauty as just skincare or makeup, because beauty has increasingly been connected to internal health, nutrition, stress, and an overall lifestyle. This has led to the growth of ingestible beauty and nutri-cosmetics, where products are consumed for skin, hair, and an overall wellness benefits. At the same time, Gen Z consumers are prioritizing transparency, personalization, and functionality. They want products that do more, but they also want to understand what they are using and why they are using. This creates an opportunity for retailers, which already have strong consumer trust and an omni-channel ecosystem, to introduce hybrid beauty and wellness products. So the opportunity here is not just to create a new product, but to introduce a new category within a trusted retail environment. However, this ingestible beauty is growing and it comes with several challenges. First, there is a regulatory complexity and safety concerns because ingestible beauty products are regulated differently than topical skincare. Second, there is a significant consumer skepticism. Many consumers are unsure whether ingestible beauty products are actually working and whether the claims are credible. Third, the market is already competitive, with supplements, vitamins, probiotics, and skincare all competing for similar benefits. Gen Z consumers in particular are price sensitive, but also value transparency and effectiveness, which makes positioning these products more complex. So the key question: how can Sephora enter the ingestible beauty market in a way that reduces risk, builds trust, and creates a differentiation? Now you may ask, why Sephora in particular? Sephora was chosen as a platform because it operates not just as a retailer, but as an education-driven beauty platform. Sephora has strong brand credibility, a large loyalty program, an omni-channel ecosystem, including stores, app, e-commerce, and a strong influencer digital marketing presence. Consumers often trust Sephora to curate products, explain ingredients, and introduce new categories. This reduces perceived risk when consumers try something new, especially something like ingestible beauty, which sits closer to health and wellness. So in this project, Sephora is not just a distribution channel, it is a trust-building platform that makes the category more accessible to consumers. Looking at the industry trends, the global beauty market is projected to grow from $430 billion in 2022 to around $580 billion by 2027, which is a significant increase by 35%. At the same time, the global wellness economy is valued at approximately $2 trillion, showing how large health and wellness space has become. Gen Z and millennials represent around 36% of the US population, but they account for about 41% of the wellness spending, which shows that the younger consumers are driving this shift. Nutri-cosmetics market itself is also growing rapidly, projected to grow from about $6.9 billion to nearly $13.8 billion over the next decade. In addition, e-commerce beauty sales are growing much faster than traditional retail, and consumers increasingly expect personalization, transparency, and multifunctional products. All these trends together support the idea that hybrid beauty and wellness products are likely to become more common in the future. Core Radiance. Based on these trends and challenges, the project proposes Core Radiance, a dual-use beauty and wellness product concept. The product is a powdered sachet made from freeze-dried botanical ingredients. The same product can be consumed as a wellness drink or applied topically as a face mask, making it a dual format product. The idea behind this concept is to simplify routines, reduce the number of products consumers need, and create a more integrated approach to beauty and wellness. The concept also includes AI-driven personalization through quizzes, education-first marketing, omni-channel retail through Sephora e-commerce. From an inclusion and accessibility perspective, simplifying the routines and offering adaptable formulas can make beauty routines more accessible to consumers with a different time, knowledge, or routine constraints. The strategic approach for Core Radiance is built around 4 areas: product development, market entry, branding, and operations. Product development focuses on dual-use powdered sachets using freeze-dried botanicals. Market entry begins in selected US cities such as New York, Los Angeles, and Austin using TikTok-led education. Influencer marketing and in-store sampling. Branding focuses on clean beauty, transparency, and digital storytelling, especially targeting Gen Z and millennial consumers. Operationally, the brand relies on certified manufacturing partners and shelf-stable products with recyclable and traceable packaging. The goal of the strategy is to combine digital discovery, retail education, and product innovation into one integrated launch model. One of the most important strategic decisions in this project is the use of licensing and manufacturing partnership. Instead of Sephora manufacturing the product itself, under this model, Sephora acts as the brand licensor, while Group Berkham serves as the licensed manufacturing partner. This licensing model allows Sephora to enter the ingestible beauty market without taking a full regulatory and manufacturing burden. It reduces operational risk, reduces upfront investment, and allows faster market entry while maintaining brand oversight and quality control. So licensing here is not just a legal agreement, but a strategic decision that distributes responsibility and expertise across the supply chain. From a supply chain perspective, the model uses GMP certified manufacturing partners, small batch, demand-driven production, and a third-party logistics for distribution. This allows flexibility, reduces waste, and supports both online and retail distribution through Sephora's e-commerce. From a financial perspective, initial investment is allocated to research, compliance, marketing, digital presence, and operations. The pricing strategy positions Core Radiance as an affordable luxury, and the financial model projects break even within 12 to 18 months. The key performance indicators include conversion rates, repeat purchase rate, customer satisfaction, and social media engagement. In conclusion, Core Radiance positions Sephora at the intersection of beauty and wellness through a dual format concept. The unique product proposition lies in combining ingestible and topical beauty into one adaptable product format. The strategic go-to-market plan leverages Sephora's e-commerce and omni-channel ecosystem, influencer marketing, and education-driven strategy to build trust and adoption. The licensing and partnership model ensures that operations are scalable and lower risk. And finally, the financial model demonstrates that the concept is not only innovative, but also commercially viable. Ultimately, it is not just about creating a new beauty product, but about designing a system where retailers, manufacturers, and digital platforms work together to introduce a new wellness category. I would like to end with a quote by Simon Sinek. People don't buy what you do, they buy why you do it. And the reason behind this was not just to create a product, but to explore how beauty, wellness, retail, and licensing can come together to create something that is innovative, scalable, and aligned with consumers understand beauty today. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you, Amrita. Any question or point to add? Thank you. So if any question is there, Amrita, we'll get back to you. Be online.
Yes, thank you so much, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Next.
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 Can you keep in mind?
Am I audible?
Yes, you are audible. You have 8 minutes to speak. Kindly go ahead. You have a slide to share?
Should we share from us?
Do you have a slide to show?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, go ahead.
She's having trouble. Should we?
She has a slide.
Yeah. Oh yes. It's open here.
We can open her slide.
That's the issue in my slideshow.
Can we share your slide from our side?
Yeah, sure.
You have a slide, so let me share it. Is this your slide?
Yeah, it's visible.
So you can be here, so let her. So you can start, and then we'll change the slide.
Okay.
Let's change next week, move to the slide. Go ahead, please.
Okay. Good afternoon all. I'm Emily Bhatia, PhD Research Scholar from University of Malta, Sri Lanka. Today my focus is on designing from the margins, youth arts and like traditional costume design practice. First I will give a brief introduction. Next slide please. Okay, the traditional costume production in Sri Lanka is often seen as a marginal heritage practice associated with elder generation actually. This limits young artisan chance to take part in creating, decision making and innovation. They are also often seen as lacking cultural knowledge which affect their income and creative freedom. This study challenged this view by highlighting young artisans as active agents of social innovation by focusing on the nearly and the overall practices. These artisans actually I'm talking about, they are like active agents of social innovations. So this production actually adhering to ethical and care-centered making. In this study, social innovation is like understood as youth-led intervention that generate culturally embedded and ethically grounded value within traditional costume production. Creative disruption, meanwhile, describes the way in which these artisans reconfigure inherited practice through design experimentation and alternative modes of making. Next slide, please.
Keep it here. Keep like this. It's okay. Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, so next I will give you like brief introduction about this traditional costume behind this because this is a little bit different from your country. So Sri Lanka has a long history of ruled several successive kingdoms. So each contributing to island rich cultural political heritage. Among these, Asian kingdom like Anuradhapura, Polonnaruwa, Yapawa, Dambadeniya, Kurunegala, Gampala and Kotte. Kandy was the last kingdom. Actually, this last kingdom in Sri Lanka 1469 to 1815 experienced strong cultural exchange with South Indian, Western and Siamese tradition, which reshaped its costume form through new silhouettes, motifs and materials and dressing methods. If I am moving to next slide, so it will show you different images of the live tradition of the candy. So I included these images to understand actually what is the live tradition of the candy, like what are they wearing and what kind of thing happened within the candy Sri Lanka. So if I go in the next slide also, I will show you like how they worn this traditional costume as a ceremonial costume. So next slide please. So if I'm moving with the historical background of this costume, I included imaging to refer the early period costume of Nilami costume and overall. So this traditional Candian elite costume image as a formal ceremonial dress reflecting social hierarchy, cultural identity. The elite male costume identify described as a Mullandamu, or we call it as Nilame costume as well, but it's originally worn by the Kandyan chief. It consists of long trouser, belt, jacket, topoti, and the necklace and hat and gold ring. So high-ranking officials like Adhikaram and Mohottalam Hadisav actually they worn this costume, and it created through different knots. We call them as Mohotti getter, and it has different layers, drape layers. And if I'm moving with the other costume that the ovary actually it's Ananda Kumaraswamy told that it has kind of a Tamil origin, and it included draped cloth, health end, and the waistband. So that is the national costume of Sri Lanka, women's national costume in Sri Lanka. So if in next slide, I will give you the research objective of my study. So research objective is to examine the youth engagement in Sri Lankan traditional costume design practice. And the research question is, how do young artisans act as drivers of social innovation within marginalized cultural production system? In next slide, I will explain the methodology of the research. So actually I used qualitative research method. So I chose 17 traditional costume artisans, young artisans actually under 20 to 35 kind of year range. And I chose the judgment sampling method to select this sample to know the most relevant sample for my study, and I collected data analyzed using InVivo 12 using thematic analysis and use, and I here included a table you to refer the detail of the interviews. And if I'm moving the next slide, I will show you some findings of my study. Actually, these findings show you like 4 main themes I got when I'm doing thematic analysis, that is youth pathway to artisanship and the creative disruption within traditional costume design practice and class-centered practice and ethical responsibility and marketing innovations. I will go one by one. In next slide, I will discuss about the creative disruption within traditional costume design practice. Normally, young artisans in traditional costume design, they are doing it creative. They are doing it like disrupt the design process in a creative manner, like introducing new colors, new design motifs, new material, new styles, new wearing methods. If I like give you an example, like normally in traditional costume, we are using dark maroon color or dark blue color or white kind of colors. But these young artisans, they introduce very interesting color range, like a new maroon, green color, light blue, yellow kind of colors. And when it comes to the motifs as well, normally traditionally we used like double-headed bird or intertwined swans, lion, peacock, but our young artisans actually introduced sunflower, roses and dragons, that kind of motifs. That is the preference of the new customers, because before creating these costumes, these traditional costume young artisans do a trend analysis, trend forecasting. That's why it's going to match with the exact consumer preferences. And when it comes to material experimentation, actually normally we use velvet fabric or hand-woven fabric for these costumes, but these young artists, they try to incorporate like brocade kind of fabric, and for the ohoria, when it comes to ohoria, they try to make it more comfortable and easy to wear. Because of that, they make it as a made-up ohoria, and the like fishtail skirts, very fashionable one, but they never like disrupt or anything, like that doesn't do anything they are not willing to do most of the time they are respecting to the culture. And if I move into the next slide, here also I included some of the images you to understand how different things they try to include it into these costumes, very diverse things, new design motifs, new colors, or new design details. In next few slides, I will explain other themes. Actually, the first one, youth pathway to artisanship. Actually, some of the young artisans try to join this industry through family tradition, like family lineage, but most of the artisans actually join this industry because of their preferences and their interest. like most of the people from 20 to 35, they first what they do is they are working in the established retail store and they gain the experience and then they started their own business. Normally that's happened. So normally overall their involvement is not accidental but carefully balanced, combining innovations with a deep commitment to cultural continuity and ritual values. The next one, the care center practice and ethical responsibility. Normally, these costumes always combine.
Can you speed it up? Your time
Sorry.
is up. Can you just speed up a little?
Yeah, sure.
Thank you.
Yeah, sure. So it's always combined with the cultural beliefs and the generational connection. And normally these costumes and this always involved with the rental system or made to order kind of thing. So they always have to care about the cleaning process and the quality of the costume, everything. And the marketing innovation also same because this is not a mass market. They always have to think about the marketing innovation side like pop-up stores, exhibitions, visual storytelling and the media appearances. And if I'm moving in the next slide, that is the conclusion and here I included some of the images to understand how they create these costume and choose these images. And next slide I will give you the conclusion and the recommendation. Normally young Sri Lankan costume artists act as social innovations within marginalized production system and their youth-led practice adapt heritage to contemporary socio-economic realities by blending artisan skill, design knowledge, technology, thereby improving livelihood and enabling sustainable income. And care-centered approach make cultural production relational and ethically grounded rather than purely commercial with practices like costume renting, fostering sustainability and shared cultural stewardship. So in next slide, I included some of the references which I have used for my study, and thank you so much and giving me this opportunity for the ICDF conference, and thank you.
Thank you. Any question, any pointer? Thank you. So we will come back to you. We have a question and then you can be here. Bhagya, you can be here. We'll get back to you when we have some questions. Thank you.
Yeah, sure.
Lalita, are you here?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Go ahead. You want the presentation to open at your side or you want us to open your presentation?
I can share my screen.
Okay. Go ahead.
Just a moment. Are you able to see?
Yes, we can see. Go ahead.
Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Lalita, and this project looks at how collective imagination can be enabled within Indian craft ecosystems. Rather than focusing on products, I'm interested in how futures are imagined, and more importantly, who gets to shape these futures. This question is very much shaped by where I'm positioned as a researcher. I work between Indian craft ecosystems and Western design institutions, which means I'm constantly navigating different ways of valuing knowledge, labor, and design practice. The in-between position makes me aware of tensions, especially around participation, power dynamics, and whose voices are actually centered. My work is grounded in co-design, just transitions, and futures thinking. To set some context for the research project, Indian craft ecosystems are incredibly rich in knowledge and culture, but they're also structurally very fragmented. They're shaped by inequality and increasing pressure from globalization and economic change. At the same time, artisans are rarely included in decision-making processes, and design as a practice itself is shifting from creating products to shaping the systems and relationships. But craft is still often viewed through a frame of nostalgia. There's a clear gap there. There's a need for more participatory, future-oriented approaches that move beyond preservation towards transformation. To explore that, I designed a methodology that could capture these lived relational dynamics. I took an interpretivist approach, focusing on situated perspectives within the craft ecosystem. The project is grounded in research through design, so making is not just an output, but also a way of thinking. I combined ethnographic work, interviews, and co-creation workshops, working with two craft clusters in Tamil Nadu and Bangalore. Most importantly, I use prototyping as a way to explore systems, treating artifacts as material hypotheses rather than final solutions. Once I gathered this data, the challenge was making sense of it in a way that goes beyond surface level observations. I used thematic analysis to identify patterns across interviews and workshops. But to go deeper, I structured this analysis using the iceberg model by Donella Meadows. Instead of looking at just visible issues, I was trying to understand underlying systems and structures shaping them. This shift from symptoms to systems was really important. And from this, I began to map the set of interconnected themes that emerged. These themes span governance, education, futures thinking, and artisan empowerment. But what really matters is not how each theme functions individually, but it's about how they connect. Together, they reveal that the challenges in craft ecosystems are systemic and not isolated. From these themes, these are the three key findings that stood out. First, around roles and knowledge. Designers often act as mediators, translators, facilitators, and often perform invisible labor. At the same time, artisan knowledge is deeply relational and experiential and doesn't always fit into formal design frameworks. Second, when it comes to fragmentation, the ecosystem often operates in silos and designers become informal connectors. And third, power and value. There are conflicting value systems and artisans often lack visibility and recognition. What this ultimately shows is that access to imagining futures is uneven. So rather than treating these as isolated problems to solve, I started asking, what conditions are missing? This led me to shift from analysis to practice. Instead of designing products, I focused on designing conditions for collaboration and futures thinking. This resulted in a set of outputs across three levels. The first is speculative, where I was imagining alternatives. The second is systemic, where I was proposing governance models. And the third is facilitative, a way to enable dialogue. Together, these aim to support collective imagination. I'll start with the speculative layer. The graphic on the side shows the three-horizon framework used to make the timeline. Speculation here isn't just about distant or abstract futures, but is grounded in the present and built with the stakeholders I interacted with in my research. I used the 1-3-10-30 foresight framework, and it created a shared way to think about change over a period of time. What this does is open up space to imagine beyond immediate constraints and use timelines in a structured way. Imagining futures is not enough. You also need structures that can support them. This led to the craft circle. It's a governance model based on shared decision making and distributed authorship. Rather than being a fixed system, it's designed as a relational infrastructure, something that evolves with the community. The idea is to shift how decisions are made, not just what is made. To support this system, I developed a set of speculative artifacts. These include things like a craft passport, a manifesto, and a newspaper. They function as world-building tools, but also as conversation devices. They make they make future scenarios tangible, so people can engage with them, question them, and reshape them. But to actually enable participation, you need more than artifacts. We need to develop processes. So I developed a participatory foresight toolkit. It creates a structured way for different stakeholders to come together using service design methods. It combines mapping, value alignment, and futuring exercises. And most importantly, it positions co-design as something ongoing, as an infrastructural practice, and not as a one-off workshop. So bringing this together, what does this contribute? This work contributes in three ways. Number one, it shifts co-design from product development to systems and governance. Second, it shows how speculative design can be grounded in local contexts. And third, it reframes the role of the designer as someone who facilitates collective imagination. Of course, this is still a work in progress. The toolkit still hasn't been tested in full real-world contexts. It needs further adaptation across languages and cultures. There's always a risk of reinforcing existing hierarchies if it's not carefully implemented. So the next step is testing, iteration, and building long-term partnerships, especially to explore how shared governance models can actually work in practice. These are some of the references that I've used, And lastly, to conclude, collective imagination is not just about envisioning futures, but also about who gets to shape them. Thank you.
Thank you, Lalita. We'll get back to you. One question is here from the request.
Yes.
Just want to know
Hi.
how you market them. That's the real challenge for them, right?
I'm not able to hear you. I'm sorry. Please can you
How
repeat
do you,
yourself?
how do you market them? How do you sell them? That's the real challenge for auditions, right? So you cluster everybody under a framework, speculative framework, and everything is fine. But how do they market it? Because that's where the gap is, right? So do you think anything you can do about that?
There is definitely a gap in markets, but the project was focusing on decision making and governance. It's not particularly looking at increasing income in any way. It's looking at just decision making and transitioning to a more equitable ecosystem. Income is obviously a factor and marketing influences that, but the focus of the project was more systemic.
But there are already cooperative societies, systems are already there in place, right? How it is different, like, how do you do that? Definitely you would have got a lot of pushback from them, right?
Yeah. So I interacted with 2 clusters, and obviously my research is only based on the sample that I interacted with. The first was a group of artisans from Pathamade who broke away from the existing cooperative structure that already exists, and this was because of a lot of disappointment with the cooperative system itself. So they basically were complaining that the cooperative system restricted business for them because things had to go through existing systems and they weren't able to take independent decisions. Even when it comes to materials, tools and things like that, access was restricted. So they were looking for something that is more self-governance based, that they can self-organize into systems. And the second cluster I interacted with was actually under a formal studio setup in Bangalore. So they were essentially working a 10 to 5 job. They worked 6 days a week. This was a more organized system for them, and they all seemed quite happy with the way things were, organized. So yeah.
Okay.
Thank you for your question.
Thank you. So if you have more questions, we can get back to you. Good to see you, Francisco,
Thank you.
here.
Francesco was my supervisor for my project, and we co-authored the paper.
Yes.
Well done, Lalita, and nice to
Next
see
year
you
we are
all.
expecting all of you to be here. Thank you.
Yes.
Right.
Can we have the next speaker, please? Mahalakshmi is here.
Yeah, hi.
Hi.
Yes, sir. Hi, I'm here.
You have your presentation.
I'll quickly share.
Yeah, go ahead. Share.
Yeah. I will share it. Can you please let me know if you can see my presentation?
Yes, it's on. Go ahead.
Yeah. Perfect. Hi, I'm Mahalakshmi Subramanian and I'm here to give a brief presentation about our research project, Bio-Based Functional Textiles for Circular Fashion and Living Systems. This research is being carried out within the framework of the Biofiber Loop project funded by the European Union's Horizon Europe Research and Innovation Program. Let's start with the most common question. Why is it so hard for textile materials to be sustainable? Well, it is because of the heavy dependence and heavy dominance of fossil-derived synthetic fibers such as plastic, polyester, nylon, acrylic, and so on. And these fibers, they contribute to almost half or even more than half of global fiber production. But why is it so bad for them to be leading? It is because they are from a non-renewable origin, which has huge environmental impact. And not only that, even if we try to change the conventional textile materials to sustainable ones, the amount of chemicals that should be involved in the process doesn't give us any better result. So what do we really need here? We need bio-based materials. And what are bio-based materials? These materials are either partially or wholly derived from naturally occurring materials. So here comes our protagonist, PLA. Polylactic acid has gained considerable amount of attention in the past few years. But why? So it is of renewable origin, and PLA is a thermoplastic polymer. Thermoplastic polymers are polymers that lets you, melt them when they are heated, and they get solidified when they are cooled, which lets us remold them or remodel them multiple times without actually degrading the material property, which is an essential factor for circular textiles and for recycling. And PLA is compatible with textile production, which is one of the most important factors here. We decided to coat the PLA fabrics with bio-based materials. And which material did we choose? We chose lignin. But why lignin? Because lignin is the second most abundant natural polymer after cellulose. And it is a byproduct of the industrial waste, more like pulp and paper industry. But lignins are underused because they are only used as low-value fuel for energy recoveries. And lignin has great functional properties. We can say that they have UV-absorbing behavior, and they may also have antioxidant and antibacterial properties. But again, the most important thing here for our research as to why lignin is chosen as the bio-based coating material is that lignin is compatible and can be integrated into thermoplastic coatings or matrices, which doesn't change the property of the recycling processes. The textile substrate we chose is knitted PLA fabric. Why knitted? Because knitted fabrics are flexible and they also give us better breathability and drapeability. And it is compatible and suitable for coating applications because the loop in the knitted fabric, it has a 3D topology and which aids in the coating applications. So, surface functionalization. And what is surface functionalization? It is to achieve extreme modification or even chemical modification of fibers on the surface, and we are integrating some other characteristics to it. The paste coating system is lignin, and the method we do is laser engraving. So what do I mean by laser engraving is that there is a metallic template, and this has micro-level structural patterns engraved on it, which is carefully and in a controlled manner transferred onto the fabric or the textile substrate under controlled thermal conditions so that the property of the fabric is not changed. And some testings were made to test the hydrophobic and performance evaluation. These are our materials after coating. There is fabric A and there is fabric B. The first one is fiber integrated surface coating, which means that the lignin was coated on fiber level on the knitted fabric. This fabric is having both pros and cons, like in all research. The pros are that the fabric retains its flexibility and drapeability of the knitted structure, whereas the durability is quite questionable. In the second one, the fabric is coated with continuous laminated film, which has a quite uniform structure on the surface of the fabric. This one is more durable. However, it is quite hard, so there is a question of flexibility and breathability here. And we conducted performance evaluation and hydrophobic evaluation by doing 3 tests. The first one was immediately after the functionalization application. The second test was done after washing. We washed the fabrics at 30 degrees Celsius, which represents mild domestic washing conditions, and the fabrics were dried under ambient temperature conditions. And the test 3 was done after 2 weeks of aging. It was also done under ambient laboratory conditions. So the results show us that hydrophobic and the morphological properties are influenced by the coating and structural modification. Fabric A was initially good, so it passed test 1. However, there was slight absorption during the test 2, but it was still within tolerance, so it was okay. But in test 3, we saw a considerable amount of decrease in performance, which wasn't really good for long-term durability. And fabric B maintained stability. during all 3 tests, and it showed minimal spreading in test 3. So why did fabric A react this way? Could be a few reasons, but we believe the main one could be that the migration of the coating materials along the fiber surface, or it could also be due to the complex surface geometry of the knitted fabrics. But fabric A can still offer advantages despite their reduced long-term stability, because they have wonderful flexibility, breathability, and tactile softness, which is more important for our ready-to-wear garments. And we can see about fabric B here. Fabric B showed stable performance, and it maintained structural integrity, which means that the coating remained intact even after all 3 testing stages. But again, as I mentioned before, there are some cons to this one because of the design and comfort properties. I will be a bit quick here. So these results, they show us that we need to find a saturation point between durability and comfort. But they also show that achieving performance without introducing harmful chemical treatments are possible in textile industry, which is the main focus of our research, where we try to do the surface modification with thermoplastic compatible coatings rather than fluorinated chemical finishes. And our main approaches towards this research are, again, I will make it quick because we want young researchers, designers, innovators to engage with sustainable materials and technologies and adopt to this circular economy and circular textile materials more in terms of design and in terms of material. And this research is still ongoing. This was just a laboratory scale research, and pilot scale and industrial scale is currently going on. Thank you so much for your attention. And do you have any questions?
And actually, what's the source of lignin?
Our lignin source here that we've taken is from the industrial byproduct, the lignin that is being discarded from pulp and paper industry.
The byproduct of paper industry.
Yes.
Okay. So the amount of production depends completely based on the capacity at which the paper we are producing, right? I mean, I'm just thinking about how this can be a scalable project. Because for research purpose is fine, but you want to scale across, like, you want to create impact to the world. Just thinking whether the resource should be conservative, right?
Yeah, so as I mentioned, we all know that cellulose is one of the most abundant one, and lignin comes after that. But our main aim is not to extract lignin, especially for this testing or for this purpose, but to take them from all the byproducts, because they are not really used in a huge quantity, and there are really a huge amount of lignin that is being discarded, and as we said, or underused. The research is still going on as to what other industries we can take them from.
Okay. And do you think
for now it is the
do we have factories who manufacture these? Factories will enable.
Yes.
There are
yes. For now it is only. I'm sorry.
We have factories already.
Yeah, for now we are in tie-up with 13 partners in Europe for this particular research project, and we are, like, each partner is having their own allotted segment of the project, which we are concentrating more on. So we also have some partners allotted for the lignin production. For now, since it is only the research scale, we are doing it within Europe, and it is not expanded yet.
Okay, and what's the cost increase compared to the normal fabric with this fabric?
It is not also taken into account yet, because it's still going on.
That's the first thing you should do, right?
Yeah, but it's since it's European Union's project and they are more focused on sustainability, we are more practicing to see if it is possible at all on the first hand to incorporate water repellency properties into the textile, because not we, but conventionally we use more fluorinated compounds, which is restricted in most part of the world because of its harsh environmental impact. So we found out that lignin could be an option for it, and we are trying to do it on PLA, but also on cellulosic materials to see which coating would be better on which material and if knitted structure is better suitable than the woven ones. So it's still ongoing, all these factors, and of course we will definitely consider the cost point of view because it is a very good point and important one to do it.
Thank you, Mahalakshmi.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
We'll call Ms. Hemangi Chaturvedi to start this paper. Are you sharing this with the international presenters first? They can see it. No. Go ahead, Iman. You have 8 minutes.
Good afternoon, everyone. I would like to begin with the thought that now is the age of thought because skill is abundant with AI, and the need of the hour is to deliver human-centered ideas. So this research paper is about designing for the elderly, and the keywords are pluriversality, basically culturally nuanced designs, universal design, and participatory design. A staggering crisis is coming our way as by 2050, India will have 319 million senior citizens and very few accommodating policies in play. So these were the few acronyms that I came across while researching. And the problem statement is that there is a Western bias in ergonomic standards and anthropometric data. Also, the cognitive load is ignored while designing products and services for the elderly. My core aim was to develop a framework to assess design policies for the elderly. The foundational theories taken into account while researching were cognitive load theory by Sweller, 1988, universal design principles, Mays, 1997, and user-centered design by Norman, 2013. The data collection methods, it was collected and compiled in 3 major steps. Step 1 was secondary research via Scopus systematic review. Then we conducted semi-structured interviews and followed by focus group discussions with the senior citizens. And then there followed a thematic analysis along with participatory redesign. Following were the participant demographics. 12 elderly samples were taken from ranging from ages of 60 to 76. 8 were women and 4 men, and the location was urban tier 2 North Indian cities with an income of 200 to 700K yearly. Their comorbidities were thyroid, diabetes, arthritis, hypertension, vision and hearing problems. Then we did a thematic analysis by Brown and Clark, 2019. The major themes which emerged were mobility issues, muscle weakness, sensory impairments, household chores difficulty, and tech assistance gaps. Of course, there were cognitive load patterns as well. So we propose a CEIIF framework, basically cognitive and ergonomic informed Indian framework to address these issues. Our first point is to eliminate time pressure and complexity in the tasks, especially technological devices. Second is to enhance familiarity in germane load by incorporating cultural metaphors and emotional resonance. Thirdly, to make devices and services more error tolerant with low dexterity operations and forgiving algorithms. Fourth was participatory validation by co-designing with the users. So we chose, after the interviews, we chose like 4 major products to reassess and then come up with redesign principles. First was the slippers. As you can see, the problems were slippage on wet floors, poor drainage, etc. And we applied the following framework to it. And this was just a basic sketch of the idea. Next, we looked at muscle exercise equipments as this was also a problem amongst them. Third was a remote. This is a simplistic idea for it. And fourth was an ATM interface. And these were the pain points and the reinformed redesign. Now coming to the limitations of the study. Firstly, the sample size is small. We could only collect data from 12 to 20 people. And there's also a regional bias. We only took people from northern urban India. And there is a longitudinal gap. We haven't yet reassessed our designs with them after a period of time. The future scope and key areas for impact are longitudinal field trials, scaling it to rural areas, integration of smart homes, and having an open source anthropometric database, and of course policy integrations to align with the Accessible India campaign, National Design Policy, and Startup India schemes. With this, I conclude my presentation. Let's design with intention, design for inclusion, and design for India. Thank you.
Let's go back to the conclusion, please.
Skip that slide.
Yeah, so I want you to note that. Okay. Your sample size is 12, am I correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. You didn't mention about sensory deficits in your triangle. So what is the median age of this group?
Ma'am, it was from 60 to 76, around 63 was the
median age. Okay. Did any of these people have foot level deformities? Not disability. Deformity is a toe deviation or anything that is usually part of this kind of profile you have. Did you observe any?
No, ma'am. They did not have any.
The reason for asking this, you had that slide on kind of shoe. So were there any reasons for that? I wanted to know because it didn't have a thumb or anything like that. So I wanted to know whether were those considered in terms of any kind of age-related valgus foot turns into a label.
Or is it easy to wear? That's why you gave a slip-on?
Yes, sir. It's easy to wear and you can just put it on like that. So that's why.
What was the user feedback? You had involved user in its development.
Yes.
Were there any kind of stories to share in this? What are that comes to the top of your head?
They were basically talking about how walking in the bathrooms, etc. was difficult and going out, being independent was one of the most major problems amongst all of them. So these were the considerations that we took into account after the discussions.
I understood. That's a very valid point what you have said. But what I'm trying to understand is, once you developed the product and they used it, what was their feedback?
Ma'am, they haven't used the products. We just took considerations while designing with them.
Okay.
So we took ideas from them and then sketched it out, but we haven't yet made the products and taken feedback.
Understood. So the user stories are yet to emerge.
Right. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
You have to improve on the design aspect.
Right, sir.
The functional usage. It's pretty simple and it's readily available in the market, like whatever you suggested.
Right.
What is the difference between that and the one which you suggested? Because we don't want a NIFTCH to
Yes.
do that, right?
Right.
So what's the thought on this? You know, how different you can do that?
So currently our major focus was to develop the framework to guide the further design processes rather than finished products. However, I do accept your feedback and I will be working on it. Thank you, sir.
Can we call the
Good afternoon, the panel and fellow scholars. So this research focuses on mapping public opinion on urban cleanliness. The study has been carried out in urban areas of New Delhi. The primary motive was the observation that public cleanliness in most of Indian cities is subpar, to say the least. And the idea is to map public opinion on this subject and see what people say or think about it, so we can then proceed accordingly. So we know that Indian government has started the Swachh Bharat mission since 2014. It's happening, and then in 2021 they have expanded to urban areas as well. And we see still across India there are a lot of cities which are still struggling with cleanliness issues. And there are many reasons which are attributed to this condition, including inadequate policy enforcement or par level of civic engagement of people. And so that there's a whole plethora of reasons which are bandied around. So the focus of the research is a specific locality in New Delhi. This is Municipal Ward 94. And the area is a high transit zone. It's a mixed area. It's got a lot of commercial establishments, residential areas, a lot of transport centers, hubs are there, metro stations is there. So the idea was to catch hold of a cross section of these people and do an assessment of what they think about the cleanliness issue. The core objective, like I already have said, that to determine the opinions, perceptions, and attitude of the stakeholders. And the research question is, how do public see their own part in creating and maintaining the state of cleanliness? And as per them, what are the possible solutions they may suggest or think about? So this is just like an infographic summarizing the literature review. And some specific points emerged, like there was a broken window theory, which is a very important theory, which talks about how if we see disorder or blight, we are then motivated to act to it. So it's like a snowball effect. There's also something called a hygiene puzzle that we find that in India, the private spaces are very clean or kept very clean, while the public spaces are like no man's land. So nobody cares for it because people think it's the government's job and the government says people have to participate and all that. We also looked at nudging versus forcing people or having direct communication as opposed to indirect communication, and how that changes the behavior. And the infrastructure intention gap is always there, that we need something and the government provides something else. So this was the kind of a summary which I just said, that behavior is contextual and there is a limit to direct appeal to people, and infrastructure is prerequisite, because if we see something which is in poor condition and then somebody says, no, keep it clean, then the question is, why should I keep it clean? It's already dirty. So there's no justification for such cleanliness. So governance comes into the picture eventually. So the research it followed structured interviews across this region, and the stakeholders which were selected was general public, shopkeepers, and municipal workers within that zone itself. And the total sample size was 24, so 8 of each. So this is what we are considering like a pilot study right now to gauge if this is going in the right direction. These were the kind of questions which were asked. So there was a self-assessment of the site first, so it was all site-based. So a specific site was selected, and then people who were occupying that location at that point were questioned, as well as the shopkeepers and municipal workers who are working within that particular zone. And that self-assessment of the interviewer was then correlated with the responses of all the other parties. So these, you can see some photographs of the kind of places. These are eateries mostly, because they tend to generate a lot of this waste. wrappers and all discarding of things is there. And these are next to high transit zones like metro stations and bus stops, also office or working commercial spaces. So you can see some conditions are there. Some fonts. Anyways, so this is the kind of responses which we got, and to summarize, I've got a summary later. But there were a lot of the people strongly agreed that if they see state of disorder, they are motivated to litter. So they had no second doubts about it, and they said mostly they were saying that okay, people do litter, but the way to go around it is not finding them, or it's more like an educational thing. So people telling us that people litter, like I don't litter, so that was the general thing. I don't litter, but other people litter, but to tell them, we have to be nice, like we have to educate them rather than put a fine on it. So that was interesting. And another thing which came out was the shopkeeper's response. So we saw that objectively the place may be dirty, but what the shopkeeper does, because of the economic imperative, they clean that area where they are operating. And then they give a response that I am fine with the cleanliness. So because they are taking a charge into their own hands regarding their own zone. So there's an objective reality, there's a psychological reality, and there's a paradox between both. And then between the municipal workers and citizens, there's a standoff, because the municipal workers clearly say the public is at fault. Like somebody saying people come on bikes at night and then just chuck stuff on the side of the streets because nobody can control them. And other side, the citizens say the government is not working now. So this is a broken window effect which was observed by the responses as well. So we saw this in the theory, but it was confirmed when we spoke to the people that the same thing is actually there in our target group. And the cleanliness threshold seems to be pretty low. Like even if they start to see a bit of litter in the area, they are motivated to say, okay, this place is not kept properly, and let us start throwing litter. So that threshold is pretty low, and it's not just the litter; it's also the public, the blight, what we call the maintenance part of it. Like if the roads are broken or the footpath is not working, that also looks like unsightly, and people are motivated to then consider it as unkept. This is the service disconnect which I just mentioned, that the shopkeepers say it's fine, but actually objectively it was not fine. It was just an area which the shopkeepers had taken charge of. This also I have mentioned that the softer measures were more preferred by the public than hard punitive measures. And interestingly, nobody said more infrastructure, more bins, or we need more litter bins or something. No, nobody said that. They said everything is fine, just people need to behave. And the way to make them behave is through cultural, educational means more, and somewhat enforcement as well. So there's a behavior gap, governance gap. So which brings us to the design aspect of it. So we are just trying to approach the design, the first stage of design, to start to conceptualize. So this gives us some direction as to what may be the way forward, looking at this information which we have. So there's an integrated approach which is required definitely. So for each of these strategies, like there's an aesthetic or a physical design where we want to control the blight and the mismanagement or that cleanliness. So there's a process part of it. Systematic cleanup is required. But there's a behavioral design aspect as well. So there has to be an educational drive where we educate people. Sense of belongingness has to be fostered, and there has to be a long-term commitment to these things, because we have also seen that there are these spot fixing exercises, especially like the Ugly Indian. There's an organization which has done a lot of work in Bangalore. They take areas and then they clean it up, but then one has to maintain that and sustain that. And definitely it requires operational support from the government as well. It cannot be done purely at one end and not the other. So which, so gaps or the shortcomings of this particular study is obviously the cohort size is very small, the population who was, and it's very geographically limited. So that is one scope of taking this research further to expand, and also the design strategies will need to be now tested on the, yeah, so that's.
Very good presentation.
Thank you.
I am curious to know that when you are doing this project, have you observed any cultural practices? Like, every community in Delhi have a certain cultural practices. And those cultural practices increase a lot of discomfort in the city, particular places, especially the water bodies. You know how Jamuna has completely destroyed, right? And one of the reasons is cultural practices. This is one. And adjacent, one question is that how gender is involved, because how we see the places in the city and how we make it live, there is a sharp division between the gender, male and female, right? And what is their participation? But these two things are slightly curious to know.
So yeah, I agree. Like for example, Chhath Puja, and there are a lot of these events which contribute to certain garbage situation. But that was not actually covered within this, so it is also limited in time when it was done. So yes, that part is actually missing in this study. As far as the gender thing is concerned, we actually, when we covered the shopkeepers, mostly everybody was male. Even barring one, the municipal workers were male. And in the public, general public, we had a mix. So we had more female participation there. But yes, it tended to be more common spaces, so there was no cultural bias to any of these situations. It was more like commercial and activity oriented, because all the study was carried out in public spaces which are more commercially oriented. So it was not near colonies or any residential areas which may show cultural touch to it.
You've done any quantitative analysis on this?
Very partly because the numbers were very low. We tried to do some regression, but then we found like it was very flat kind of a thing. But I think that is something which is lacking in this study, that we need more numbers to really run figures.
So we need the numbers and do a regression analysis such a way that which variable is affecting which variable, and based on that we can find, because this is something which is even educated people also part of it, right? You do not educate the educated people, correct? So yeah, I think the qualitatively you want to solve the problem, you have to incentivize the community or something like that.
Like one interesting thing which came out was the idea of a watching eye. So there was a thing that somebody is watching, that just that thing that has the effect of bringing down the kind of behavior or controlling the behavior. So that's very fascinating.
That's an interesting thing actually.
In fact, in Brazil, one study was there, they had painted eyes on the dustbins. So people know that it's just a painted eye, but still that reminds them that okay, so they self-reflect probably.
Even if somebody put a garbage, they look around, right? That's a common sense, right? That's a good presentation. Good presentation.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Who's next?
Good afternoon. My name is Alia, and I'll be presenting my research about research sensing technology in wearable textiles. So I'll explain my approach to be integrating microfluidic sensors into our NIFTCH socks, and how this can be used to monitor gait, pressure, and movement in comfortable and wearable textiles. So wearable textile sense and respond to movement. Socks are ideal because they are always contact with the ground. Using piezoelectric materials like flexible PVDF, we can convert pressure into electricity. All while keeping fabrics soft and comfortable. This way, smart sensing can become a garment itself. So, integrating piezoelectric materials into soft knit textiles is a growing research area, offering more flexibility and comfort than rigid materials. Socks and shoe soles are perfect for sensing weight and pressure because of the constant ground contact. The main challenge is keeping wearable, comfortable, and flexible. By exploring IoT connectivity and scalable designs, we can enable real-time data by monitoring and wearable solutions. So the project overview. So we are developing a soft wearable smart socks with a piezoelectric insole that converts movement into real-time feedback. And it's designed for the comfort and flexibility, integrating smart textiles and potential IoT connectivity. So application include health monitoring, data analysis, and everyday smartware. So the methodology, we conducted a narrative literature using Skyspace to study the piezoelectric polymers like PVDF and their application in wearable textiles. So we analyzed the fabrication and integration methods of flexible smart textiles, then performed the initial test with piezoelectric sensor connected to an LED, and then we got this is a preliminary test to observe the peak voltage of 3 to 4 voltage. And so this is my the observation of my preliminary test. So the basic application on this is that the smart support can the smart sock can support health monitoring by tracking gait, balance, posture, and foot pressure patterns. So IoT integration allows multiple wearables to connect for comprehensive activity tracking. Sensor data provides actionable insights while optimized material ensures and comfort and durability. So the key applicable includes sport performing tracking, rehabilitation, and physiotherapy. So the main conclusion is the piezoelectric sensors can be integrated into wearable textiles, and the knitted socks concept offers a flexible, comfortable alternative to rigid sensors, and it allows real-time monitoring of gait analysis and subtle vibration, with application in health, sports, and smart footwear. So the future scopes are next steps include a full wearable prototype, implementing advanced gait analysis to help, for example, diabetes patients to prevent foot ulcers, and expanding IoT connectivity and making it more comfort and durable for all kind of people. So it can be accessible to all. These are my references. Thank you.
Very well then. I have just one question. Maybe because I don't have knowledge, so I'm asking you this question, okay? That's a piezoelectric insertions you mentioned. Am I pronouncing it properly?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. Now, does the weight of the product change because of these insertions and the wearability, comfort, and sensory experiences?
No, it doesn't. I mean, I've only done a preliminary test.
Okay.
So the piezoelectric film is a very thin material. So basically, I'm adding an insole inside of the socks. Insole is a very flexible material, so it's very comfortable for all type of people to wear. Yeah.
Now, how do you connect? Do you have an experience of connecting this with the IoT? I mean,
Currently, I'm working on it, my prototype. But then the IoT, I'm currently using ESP32 microcontroller to connect to the device to understand.
But is it real time?
Yeah, it is. So there is also LCD to understand the real time.
The thing is that you need to have an internet connection.
Yeah.
How that is enabled? Like how that will happen?
Okay, there is
Mobile phone or how is it?
Yeah, it can be. So the device called microcontroller ESP32. So that has a Wi-Fi and Bluetooth connection. When you insert that, you have to before using it, you have to add some codes into it, and based on that, you can access it. Anyway, yeah.
Was there any physiotherapist or anybody who was involved as part of your consultative team?
No, not currently. After
Because you're mentioning gait analysis and such other things,
Yeah.
gait analysis, pressure point and all of
Yeah.
those. Just was wondering if their inputs were taken.
Yeah, after I was planning to do it after my prototype is done and to get some feedback from them.
So first you should go to them and do a research on that. First understand the pain point of the people, right? That is very important. Rather than building a product. That is how the design thinking as a concept has evolved. First empathize what is the problem, then find a solution.
Yes.
You shouldn't like I build a product and then let the solution follow. It shouldn't be like that. First understand the problem and then find a solution.
Yeah.
Somebody should, the ma'am said a good point.
Yeah.
Speak to the people, the stakeholders, both internal and external stakeholders
Yeah.
involved in this.
Yeah. So my dad is a biotechnological engineer. So basically he knows a lot of products around the sense. So he's the one who suggested me to make something similar because it's currently happening in the market. That's what.
You're in a very exciting space because I notice a lot of obesity in the younger generation. And one of the foot deformities I notice in younger people is what is called the medial arch collapse. So a product of this nature would have potential usages later so that then you can put some keloids or something, because once you notice what is happening, this has potential, but you need to have other people on board who would help you because they understand neurobiophysiological aspects because it's related to foot.
Yes.
Do you have any products in the market as such? Is it existing now?
It's kind of starting to develop. It's not very.
Nowhere in the world is it existing.
Yeah, it just started to it just.
Brilliant space actually. You have a huge opportunity there.
Thanks.
If you work on that, you have a huge opportunity there.
Especially medial arch collapse, obesity related disease. You see in the young people that really affects later knee and other problems in future.
Yeah.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you. Who's next?
Am I audible? Good evening to the panel members and fellow authors. I'm Riya Jeesh, and along with my co-author, we have explored the topic of heat-based menstrual care for primary dysmenorrhea. Again, it's a common term for menstrual cramps, where we have done a user-centric survey. And again, menstrual pain is one of the most common yet extremely overlooked challenges that individuals face through on a monthly basis. And that it affects the overall well-being and the quality of life. It disturbs the quality of life as well. So moving on, I'll give a brief introduction. So primary dysmenorrhea, as mentioned, is extremely common. And again, it's just not the pain that happens in the lower abdomen. It comes with the back pain, fatigue, nausea, and these are just some of the common symptoms, only a few of the many common symptoms that women go through or menstruating individuals go through on a monthly basis. Again, pain, the pain doesn't stay limited only to the body. It affects the concentration, it affects mind, it affects your sleep, and also affects your overall productivity as well. While a lot of people do prefer non-pharmacological methods, even though medicines are available, but among these more natural solutions, heat therapy stands out the most because it's more natural. Where the heat is given, it relaxes the muscles and it improves the blood circulation, hence relieving the pain. So what we noticed as a research gap is that heat solution is proven to be effective. But what's the problem is that an effective solution is not turned into a convenient one. So me and my co-author, we went through a lot of websites which talks about all these different solutions, that is electric heating pad, hot water bag and heat patches. And one pattern we commonly notice is that users mostly complain about how it's bulky, how it's not portable, and how some heat patches gets really uncomfortable after using it for quite some time. So this is the common pattern that we noticed. So this is the area where design innovation can actually bridge the gap. And how we went ahead with the paper was that we first again conducted a survey where we took a survey for 385 menstruating individuals, and then we wanted to know three main things. First is their pain experience, how much is the pain, and then how much it disrupts their daily life, and also what are the current practices that they currently use. And then last, we assess the survey, we assess the data through qualitative data analysis using Spearman's correlation and ANOVA test as well. Moving on to initial findings, the first thing that we noticed is that, again, the common areas where the pain affects is the lower abdomen and lower back. And it mostly affects for 1 to 2 days. That might sound small, but that 1 to 2 days is enough to completely disrupt your overall well-being. And again, the menstrual users has reported that it significantly affects the work, study, and sleep and productivity as well. Moving on to current pain relief practices, it was a bit surprising to see almost 60% of out of 385 users said that they either don't do anything or they take rest. And out of which, almost 27% still collectively, if you see, we gave the options for using a hot water bag, heating pad, and heat relief patches. Collectively, people use 27% for heat therapy. And again, almost 13% use painkillers, which shows that people do prefer non-invasive and natural heat-based methods. And again, when we ask the questions, what are the current problems they face with the existing heat solutions? Again, the cycle is repeated about the bulkiness, about how the heat is not enough, how the heat gets uncomfortable. So a brief about this slide basically shows the analysis that we conducted. So we wanted to see the relationship between some aspects. The first one that we saw was that whether the higher the pain intensity is directly connected to how it shows a significant positive relationship. Therefore, it shows a greater distress of daily life. And the next one is we also wanted to see whether active and mixed lifestyle users has more challenges with the heat-based solutions. And turns out that was true as well. And last but not the least, I want to emphasize on the point that the dissatisfaction is not based on heat therapy is not effective. It is. It is proven to be effective. It just has not been made into a convenient solution for especially mobile and active users. And again, this graph shows the number of people who have chosen that these are the problems that they currently face. And these findings highlight the need for wearable thermal garment-integrated heat solutions, consistent and gentle warmth, where there are a lot of research papers which states that low continuous warmth is only what is required for menstrual cramps. You do not need a high dose of heat in that particular area because that might cause more harm than good. So there are a lot of research which states that statement. And again, improve comfort and mobility, which is an important factor for a lot of active users. And of course, our study does have some limitations because this is purely based on user-centric and perception-based. There is no experimental validation done on thermal performance. Like users has mentioned that they feel uncomfortable after using the heat patches after some time, but we don't know at what temperature they feel the uncomfortability. We don't know how much degree is actually needed by the body to perceive that much heat. So that is where our study is lacking in those terms. But for future research, a lot of research can be done on thermal integrated products, about smart technology, about heat retention fabric, where the heat can be trapped only in that area. That can also, again, a low dose of warm and gentle heat is only what is required for menstrual cramps. So as a conclusion, heat therapy remains a widely trusted and effective product, and the current solutions are lacking and making it into a convenient solution. And this is the area where design and innovation can bridge the gap, and we can also improve the overall well-being for measuring individuals. And these are the references, and thank you.
Just a question, the heat therapy you're talking about, right?
Yes, sir.
Is it clinically proven?
Yes, sir. Again, if you go to the references, most of the reference we mostly looked for is heat therapy. So they clearly said that when the heat is given to the muscles, it relaxes it. And that is what is required to relieve the pain. Where if you look at the opposite contrast, where this question was posed to us by one of our mentors also, why not cold therapy? Because cold therapy constricts it. You need to relax your muscles because when the cramps come, your muscles contracts. You need to relax it. So heat is one of the best methods to do that naturally.
What I'm saying is you are building a product around it.
Yes.
You have that data, that study, clinical study should be, you should conduct a clinical study and should back it up. When you do this, right?
Yes, sir.
That's what I'm saying. Because these references will not take you places, you know. So this is just for the initial study is fine. But when you make it as a product, you do a clinical study and understand and then you prove it with the data.
Okay.
Because people will question you.
Yes.
Right? You say heat therapy, people will question you. How are you saying that?
Can I add to what he has said? I know, thank you very much. You've added that you have also tried about vasoconstriction, which may not work, but the way science of pain management will have to be taken in its two differential perspectives, where you would have your respondent size, one using vasoconstrictive, this one, and the other respondent group of people using heat therapy. So that would further give you a very greater credibility in your approach. But pain management has two schools of thought, I would like to tell you. Vasoconstriction is another aspect of it for menstrual pain management also. So just keep your perspectives broad.
Yeah.
And maybe then you can have a comparative versus this versus then you may have more data to kind of take the perspective based on your hypothesis.
Quick point, very good study because I think India is going to face a major challenge in the workforce because this is going to be a big challenge. There are a lot of studies going on the policy level that how can we make the workforce more inclusive for the women workers, those who are going to join. Supporting this point, there is a myth in elderly, by the elderly population, which we call it myth, that if you take the heat, it increases the bleeding, right? So I think it's a good suggestion, a very good suggestion that you take a clinical point of view and move it forward.
Sure, ma'am. Yes. Thank you so much.
I think it's a very timely study because I see even Gen Z and Gen Alpha is facing the same problem. I personally know the heat patch works. Right. If you don't even go for a clinical study, it works. But then as they rightly said that it's good to get a support
from a clinical
set. Yes, because I know the way the heat patch sells.
Yes.
The quick commerce, but yeah, good support will be there, and I think there's a good scope for a business also.
Yes, sir. Yes. For a commercial product, that is what
yes.
the end goal is.
It's a pretty big market. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Variable ones that you take to
yes. I think also the probability on the variability side, because most of the heat patches are pretty uncomfortable.
It is. Because
not even bulky, it's sticky. They give a sticker type, but still it's uncomfortable if somebody goes to go to work and then work. No, in that way, so maybe an ergonomical aspect of it will be something which you can add on.
Because heat patches after some time it hardens.
Yes.
So it becomes even more uncomfortable.
Right.
So this is not really an appropriate option. Yes.
Yes. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Seven. Who's next? Go ahead. Thank you.
Good afternoon. Am I audible? Hello everyone. This is Subhashmita Brahma. I come from Kolkata. I'm a design I have worked as a designer in the industry for quite a while, and then thought of shifting to education. The primary reason why I shifted to this topic particularly, this is the role of empathy in design cohesive cognitive learning spaces. Now, from learning spaces, I mean not just physical spaces, but learning environment. I'm proud enough to say that I have 650 students currently in my college that I teach, and the common problem that they face currently is the mode of education that is being propagated in the college. I mean, that's very constructive, that's very curriculum basis, and not really empathetic towards the students. Now, I will begin with the question that have you ever entered a class where people are present physically but not mentally? That happens because a few years back I was a student and I felt that way, and I thought then, while I am a teacher, I should be the change, not expect the change from somebody else. So now I have done my survey on these students, and I found out that 71.6% to be specific have expressed that teaching should be empathetically driven and not curriculum based only. There were 73.1% of students who thought that spatial design impacts design thinking while working. So now this is the data that I have got from the survey. It's just the generic data. I'm going to go deeper into this. Now, introduction to this. I mean, we are. As designers, we are teaching design as society changers. I mean, I believe that design is a problem-solving solution. So, how are we going to propagate that if we are just structural, curriculum basic, tutors? We have to be mentors. I mean, within ourselves also. We should have the belief in ourselves. I mean, ma'am, I was talking to ma'am. She is doing a great initiative. I mean, building her own, environment where she is teaching her own way, but as teaching under a particular curriculum, you have to be very structural. You cannot go out of the way and think about the students empathetically. So the word that I've come up with this research is emotional invisible crisis. So the invisibility crisis among the students, that they have this fear of not answering because they have this issue that they will get judged. And there is also this hierarchical thing that a student who is very introvert, very outspoken will get more attention than a shy student. Why should that happen? I mean, I feel it's a responsibility of a teacher to make that environment comfortable for each and every one of them. Be it shy, be it outspoken, anything and everything. One can be very comfortable in a classroom to speak up, and that environment, I mean, that space is only created by a faculty or a tutor or a mentor. So, the aim of the study. So, aim of the study is empathy as a spatial design methodology. Now, I believe in the idea of designing the method of teaching. I mean, the method of delivering ideas and being with the student actually, not just being with the curriculum or the structure or the place that you work. Being with the student, because we spend 9 to 10 hours a day with the students, and they should be comfortable enough to speak up what they feel like. Design cannot happen overnight, or the design cannot happen with pen and paper just. So you have to have that idea behind the thing you see and feel. So now the objective of my research, that is the existing research that was already there. I'll just first come to this, because the gap in the study we have. Now, there are, according to my research, there's a space that's missing, a gap that is there for
mission. Now, the research that already exists is in between spatial designing and product designing and curriculum designing and let's say digital design. But what is there for classroom design, classroom environmental design, curriculum designing? I lack this information from faculties when I talk about curriculum. What about curriculum designing, about activities designing, about classroom modification in terms of activities and ideas how to propagate, not structural designing. They already, most of the time end up talking about structural design. We should have digital boards and we should have projectors that are highly qualified and very advanced in technology. But what that digital projector will do, will it get inside the head of the students? No, it won't. The student will just look at the PPT and then go off to their places. So that's building a connection with the students, and the students should have the comfortable space enough to talk about what ideas they believe at least, not even execution. So yeah, I'll go back to my objective. Now, analyzing the learner's perspective. Again, what I said is perspective of the student. How many of faculties ask the student, what do you feel about me? How do you feel I am, how empathetic I am towards you? I question my students at the end of the day, that what do you feel about me? How can I improve? I do not see much faculties talking to the students, like taking feedback at the end of the day. I do that, and I feel one should do that in order to grow and learn every day. So, identifying the environmental factors, which includes, yes, we do consider spatial factors as in turning every classroom into an air condition doesn't really work because design comes from nature, that's what I believe. And one should take the students out into the nature and invite light inside the room, like physical and both psychological light. So yeah, giving light into the thoughts of the people and into the room. So there are certain environmental factors that are considered here. Again, I come to the empathetic designing, that is empathetic designing again, the classroom and the curriculum designing, that's what I was talking about. Now, developing a framework. Now, framework includes framework of the classroom, of the day-to-day curriculum, and obviously the end result of the teaching. The end, it's just not semester exams that I'm talking about, it's the work that they end up with, it's the profession they end up with. I'm connected to them not for a semester but the entire life. Once a teacher, always a teacher, I believe in that. So yeah, that's what I believe. So this is the questionnaire that I ran across the students. Now this is highly detailed. Now I'll tell you just basics where I included student perspective questionnaire. What do they think? What do they feel should change? Just like a politician approaches to the voters, like what do you think I should do to make you happy? I just ran a survey thinking what they think they have come across and what changes they would feel good to have in their classrooms. So I got a Reddit response, and I will come to the response, but this is the literature review that I've come with, that framework definitions, that what is all there, that's ethics and universal design and cognitive spatial theories, again empathy in design, cognitive. I know my PPT is quite lengthy, but then I couldn't miss any of the topics because I would have missed out on a lot of things that happened. So my idea was not to just develop this paper and submit it, but to propagate an idea which was hiding inside me. So there is inclusivity. Now this NIFTCH was, I got interested in NIFTCH conference because it this subtheme was talking about inclusivity that I am propagating. Inclusivity of a teacher with a student, with other students. I mean, one student is getting neglected due to the fact that he or she is shy. Cannot be just a random fact a teacher can avoid. I mean, what is a faculty or a mentor doing with that information that the student is not being able to speak up? So that was my idea initially, and then I came across this conference that is propagating this inclusivity, imagination, and innovation in design. So, a gap that I talked about where I'm bridging the spatial design with cognitive theories and empathy in design. So, this was my methodology where I included both quantitative and qualitative methods. Quantitative because I wanted to have a real data of the student, which I can claim later on that they were actual facts. And qualitative that includes the time I spend with the students and the verbal communication that I have with them. So it includes both experience designing and the proper environmental design, both of them. So this is the I got 70 responses. I don't know. I just had a very less time to take the data. I mean.
Your time is over.
Okay, I'll just finish up quickly. Okay, the first finding is again the fears of the students are being very shy. I mean, there are a fear of judgment, fear of competitive environment of the students. And the key factor is emotional safety of the students, the emotional priority that a person gets while speaking up. So that's what I was talking about. And the second factor was the environment factors that I already said, the sitting arrangement. There were few who got the structural changes that are required, and I got the few data of that. And there are technological advancements. That's also always there. There's this question that how my curriculum is involved with AI and how fast I'm with that. Now, need for empathy. That's what my main agenda was. Like, empathy should be included in the curriculum, and it shouldn't be an optional thing. It should be a necessity. One thinks that we can keep that as a sideline, but that shouldn't be a sideline. That should be incorporated in every perspective. That's what my idea was. Now, implication for design professionals, educator, and space design. Now, professionals, as in I have worked as a professional, and including design, empathy in design is more like designing a user-centric design. So you keep the user in the center while designing and show empathy towards them. That is a professional, but how would we invite them into the students? We start with the core, we start with the foundation of involving them as a core user, as a user-centric, and then they have the idea to develop it as a, when they get professionals. So it starts from home itself. So these are the basic insights of the discussion that we had. And this is the recommendation that I have for design educators. That's just a summary of what I talked. It's different sectors of the society and how they can involve empathy into the study. I had certain limitations in the study. That's I couldn't get into the Gen Zs that much because they were not really verbal about what they feel. I mean, when you sit back with them, talk about them, they are much more comfortable. But talk physically, when you are registering it into something very documented, they were not willing to say. That's what I thought. I don't know why, but then I need more time with them to get in. I just had few years of experience with the students, but I think I'll develop more experience while I get into education with time. That's the conclusion of the entire thing. So.
Thank you. Any question?
Just focusing on the design thinking as a principle. So I mean that's what most companies do. Absolutely, everybody work on design thinking as a framework. But so now you are doing as a concept for the faculties, right?
Right. I'm working on from an end of the education.
So when you say empathy in the curriculum, it should be in the curriculum. It should be in the facilitator's framework of communicating the thing, correct?
But then it should be inviolate. Let's say there are a lot of constraints when we do that from the institutional end.
No, actually we don't want empathy in the curriculum. I mean, somebody is sitting here to learn garment construction.
Right.
Okay. So that's the topic which they have to understand. But the empathy should be from the faculty on how to do that, how to get things from people.
Yes, yes.
Make it interactive, how to make people introverts speak. So that it's a kind of a curriculum which should focus by faculty should be trained. So these research
Because I have interacted with. Yeah, madam.
What it's trying to see is includes the empathy pedagogy rather than empathy curriculum.
Right. Okay. I understand that. I would keep in mind when I get it back.
Because inclusion is a value first and foremost. कुछ नहीं बोलो कितना भी words you may use, diversity and inclusion, unless you internalize it, these are all the physical aspects of manifestation. That is one. Another prism with which I would look at the same thing, I think this is what these two persons were also indicating, is the prism I would look at is teacher development and a paradigm shift in the teacher's perspective of teacher to student, which is like, you know, the typical parent to child kind of an interaction.
More like a learner perspective.
Because many of you are adults, so when I talk to you, I need to talk, but somehow classrooms, and we're all hard with the moment we become a teacher, when we were students, we said, I wish I had a teacher like that, but somehow when we come into the system just grabs us and then we move into
That's what I was like. That's why I included curriculum and institute.
correct teacher development training to work with young adults, and you had respondents, you had difficulty connecting with them. Perhaps you would have created a social media post asking them what they want. That would have given you some additional voices to come, because you mentioned that one of the limitations you had mentioned was that. So you just have to create a social media post and see what shout out they come out with.
Because I targeted a specific area, specific college. So
just
I
So
don't know.
maybe
I
you can
understand.
extend the study further
Definitely, I
and
will.
then do it with a good thing. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
you.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Yogesh from NIFTCH-MoYAS. Along with my co-author, Professor Vishu Arora, we are working on this paper, Designing Belonging in Urban Thrift Ecosystem. Basically, we have taken Sarojini Nagar Market, New Delhi. I guess you guys are aware about that. Everyone knows Sarojini Market, right? So it's a Gen Z place, also Alpha Gen Z place. Because I graduated from DU and I guess more than my class time, I have spent my time in Sarojini Nagar. Because every moment for every event, I had to go there to shop. So this topic, why I have taken Sarojini Nagar. So it's very lived experience. When I was given this project, I had to choose a topic. So I was thinking about thrift ecosystem only. And then end up to an informal thrift ecosystem. But what about the people who are involved in it? What about the vendors where we bargain to? Like when we go to the mall, we don't bargain for like 20 rupees priya off cut or something like that, but we do that to them. So to look at their livelihood, I have been to Sarojini Nagar again with another perspective. So as ma'am you told, we cannot design for social inclusivity unless we participate in it. So that's how my research approach is also a participatory research approach. So what is a Sarojini Nagar? It's an informal thrift fashion hub. Everyone in our generation has been there and known for export surplus clothing and major known in India's circular fashion economy. So next, why this study? So I guess every year we have a lot of newspaper or news articles about how many shops they have been demolished, or like how many times encroachment drives occur. So that's how I came up with this study, like spillover retail activity again and again. Like it follows a very reactive approach or very punitive approach. So that's how I came up with this study. So my research approach was obviously field observation. The first the first challenge I had was that I could not interview the people over there, the vendors, because they were very scared. Because they thought I'm someone from COPS, so they were not giving me the data. So that's how I went to my professor, and with her help, I was told to do an informal interview where I had to participate with them. I had to go in proper if I was there to get a livelihood. So I had to do that. Then also I had informal stakeholder interviews, because further if you'll see in my case study that I have had qualitative research plus system framework, because when we are studying a system like Sarojini Nagar, we have to have knowledge about stakeholders. Like there are a lot of things which are connected to the system. So then I went down to the system mapping and then the analysis tool, which you will have a look at, like causal loop diagram and a fishbone and sustainability matrix, where I have included 7 principles of inclusivity. So further on, I'll talk about my research gap and the solution as well. So this was the system map where I have included all the stakeholders, how it is connected to the Panipat recycling hub. So Panipat is the biggest recycling hub of textile, where export from Africa, Europe, and everywhere, and from every corner of world come from there. Come to that place, and then it is like lead to other places as well. Then how Delhi wholesalers and even the small markets are like connected to the Sarojini Nagar, and there are a lot of bodies which are connected, like MBCC to look after the buildings and everything in the Sarojini market. Then there is SNMTC, which is Sarojini Nagar Trade Corporation. But the whole thing was connected to NDMC, which is New Delhi Municipal Corporation. So they were handling everything. So that's how I got to know about it through the stakeholder interviews. So next on, with that information, I got to few of the points, like which is like through the fishbone diagram, like encroachment, congestion, and worker livelihood. So when we talk about like a system, then there are a lot of things which are connected to that. One is like people, the process they follow. When we do empathy mapping, so I had that as well in my people. So like what they say and what they do and what they feel about it. That's very important when we discuss about inclusivity. Then the policies which are already there. So we have an act for that, Vendor Act, which was proposed in 2014, which is still going on, which has not been implemented properly for now like 12 years. So like I have gone through that. So it's very punitive. Through that, if you see, there are like high fees and fines. You'll have to pay from 5,000 to 20,000 if you are caught on the street. So it's very punitive. Then the environmental effect. Obviously, it's like if we are reusing, we are giving back to the environment. So it's also a very sustaining system as well, a thrift system. And then later on we had a causal loop diagram, like how these things are interconnecting and interdependent. If I talk about one of my loop, which is like balancing loop 1, so how it balances the system. So like top-up stall happens, then encroachment happens, then narrow lanes are there, obviously, because encroachment happens, pop-up stalls are always unauthorized extent of the shops which are already there. So that's how we go to, and because of that encroachment drives happen, I guess multiple times in a day. So that's how it narrow down the lanes, then the crowd congestion happen, and then the NDMC inspection happens. And again it repeats itself. Pop-up stall again come out. So it's very it's not it's very reactive, it's not impactful. That's how I came to that, and it also affect the shopkeeper profit. And when you talk about the stakeholder, I'm talking about the vendor who are on the pop-up store. This profit is very important because that's their only income. So that's their only livelihood, that sustains their livelihood. Then we had this inclusivity and sustainability matrix, where in people, I have included the 7 factor of inclusivity, and I have told what all impact they have on my system, which is my Sarojini Nagar system, like limited access to elderly and disabled, movement routes change constantly, because when the drive happens, the moments are so fast and they reoccur again and again that it also affects the customer. So that's how it is. Visitors have no navigations, no visual navigation. It's a very highly non-inclusive system, if I tell you. Higher accident risk as well, because vendors have to they hide away, so they run away from that area to some short area. So that's the thing. Then high fatigue as well. So it's a highly non-inclusive system. Then if we take on through the planet metrics, then it has waste generation. We have textile reuse, which is a good factor. I'm not saying everything is negative about it. It has good factor as well. So like textile reuse, waste disposal is one of a problem over there, but it has also profit in itself, which is vendor income, supply turnover, and customer spending. And through the data, if I conclude that this sector of world, the thrift ecosystem is leading to 3.4 billion in upcoming times, like till 2030. So key system bottleneck. So bottleneck model is one of a model which tells you like what all factors are included within the system and what all pressures are coming out of the system. So I got to have these 4 points, like high customer demand, because obviously as I told you, I was one of our customers, so I also had highest demand of.
Time is over.
Okay. Then spillover, retail displays, and limited pedestrian space. So obviously when we are doing something about a system which is already so vast, it feels like we are challenging the government. So if I gonna propose a solution which has no back study, it will not happen any day, because my codes were rejected by NDMC so many times. So that's how I came up with this case study when I was reading about Bangkok case study, because Bangkok is also a very big thrift market. So I have seen their way of tackling these problems, where there were 4 points which I could conclude, which is marked vending zones, vendor identification, cleanliness, compliance, and time-based vending. When I told you that it depends on NDMC, so my solution speaks about how they can also conclude Sarojini Nagar Trade Corporation into it, and they can have vendor identity cards, like as we have Aadhaar card, because now that co-ops are having those, it's like very corrupted. So that's what I have focused on. Then we have like comparison of street vending governance. If I'm taking Bangkok we have very different demographics as we have. So that's how I came up with this comparison, like what all limitations we can have, and like current practices in Sarojini Nagar and implications of that. Then the proposed solution, if I'm giving some policies, then there will be some expected impact as well and limitations as well. So I have given that as well. And later on, these are my policies recommendation for Sarojini Nagar, like spillover display zones. There should be zones. Then vendor ID system, so that we can track how much time they have had their pop-up store over there. Then we have time-based retail activity, and if we have compliances, obviously we have to keep them to sustain the system. So so we have right now we have for spatial like reoccurring. But I want to shift it to the cleanliness linked compliances, which I have taken from Bangkok only, because when I was asking a vendor about that, so he was saying I can pay 2,000 or 1,500 in month rather than paying 20,000 in one go, and while I have to wait for like so many days for my car to come back. So that's what one thing was there. It balanced livelihood and pedestrian circularity. The limitation was that I had a very short period of time while doing this, and the quantitative research still need to be done, and then the limited authority interviews that I have already discussed, and the future study might be footfall measurement and seasonal market study and policy testing. Thank you.
I have just one. It's not a question, it's more. Have you also contacted any NGOs who work in that space to get a perspective? Because many of these, because livelihood is linked, so there would always be somebody working with socially and marginal communities. Have you had any interface? Just curious, that's all.
Yes, ma'am.
Anything to comment on this? I'm curious.
Yes, ma'am. There is PAL, PAL Foundation. I have talked to them. They have told that they give free, the free patient care to them, like palliative care. Yeah, different measures. So they have different
They are not into the microfinancing or anything.
No. They give like palliative care to them, the vendors. So it was that.
Thank you.
So we have the next presenter.
Hi, fashion retail through experiential customization and ethical and inclusive design approach. The study started with one question: how do we buy clothes? Whether it's an offline or an online store, there is a lot of production that has happened before the customer buys the product, and what happens after the customer discards the product. So this question essentially led to the starting the study. Fashion and textile is one of the very significant part of every life of every human being, but it significantly contributes to environmental pollution through generating toxic waste and also consuming high water and energy consumption, as well as chemically intensive processes. These contaminates ecosystem and pose risk to biodiversity and human lives. The fast fashion model also extensively promotes rapid production, which actually leads to low cost garment, and frequent trend changes also lead to reduce the perceived value of the clothing, which actually results in excessive consumption as well as disposal. The study investigates on unsustainable aspects that occurs in textile as well as fashion industry, and it actually explores on how customization can become a solution for customization can be a sustainable solution in this industry. The textile production starts from the yarn manufacturing, which actually starts from fabric production of fabric, which leads to then goes to the fabric manufacturing, which includes weaving, dyeing, finishing techniques that's been applied, and then comes garment construction before the garment actually comes to the stores. While going through the literature, I looked at how customization have been introduced, and customization or personalization is pretty common in luxury items or premium items, but what kind of customization exists in mass market? So there is a concept called mass customization, in which 3D body scanning and technologies like CAD systems have been used to actually personalize different clothing based on individual measurements. So this has been tried in markets like US, but it has not been very successful because of the extensive price hike that happens because of individual measurements and the production that happens after that. In textile industry, it was interesting to know that 86% of the water, 79% of the energy, and 65% of the chemicals are consumed, particularly during the process of wet processing, that includes dyeing, printing, and finishing stages in the whole textile process. And it is the fashion industry that is the largest consumer of the products that's actually manufactured from textiles. The methodology that's been followed in this study is mixed method, which started by a literature review of textile and fashion industry and what is happening there currently. And then a concept called experiential customization is proposed in the study, which is then just as an initial validation. A quantitative survey which had 54 participants had been taken to understand whether the consumers will be even willing to try such a concept. The questionnaire constituted of 3 sections, which started by the understanding the demography. Then there was a set of questions in which they were asked how they currently shop. This was asked particularly because while answering, I wanted them to think of how they currently shop, so that they can compare the current system to the concept that is being proposed. And the third section was to introducing what the concept was and whether they will be willing to pursue this, and then to understand what their opinion was on this concept. As a result of this study, a concept called experiential customization is suggested as a result of the study, and experiential customization is proposed as a system where a consumer goes to a shop. There is physical display and physical display of the costumes, as well as apparel, as well as the fabric that's been used, but it will not have any kind of design. So they can physically select the design of the garment that they want, and then there is digital display of digital options of the designs that they want, and they choose the design, and then it goes to production where the proposed production technique, printing technique is only inkjet printing technique, which is one of the sustainable technique that exists currently. And it after the consumer buys, and then the production happens, the printing happens, and the garment construction happens. So particularly while actually conceptualizing this model, only technologies that's currently available are being used for easy adaptation, or to make this model more easily to adapt or easily to test it out in the market. So test it out in the market. The key benefits of this model is as compared to the current traditional mode of shopping, is it proposes to reduce the waste generated. So the production happens only after the consumer buys the product. So the need for overproduction, the need for the producer to produce every kind of design just for the sake of choices that's required for consumers is reduced, and because of that, the waste that's generated during the production is also reduced. And elimination of dead stock. So as this happens only after a consumer buys, there will not be any kind of a dead stock or any kind of product that will not that will be left in the stores that will not be sold. And very key point was the adoption of a sustainable production technique, which actually uses very less amount of water, chemical, and dyes in production process. Just to compare both the systems, so current system, the product is created and it goes into the market and the consumer buys. After the consumer buys, it goes to the that's been discarded, and even the dead stock is then discarded. And because of this rapid trend cycles, now what happens is the time period where the consumer goes back to the market is very short. And here, through this proposed model, we also, because consumer is also co-designing the product that they are wearing, the intention of them to also value the product, chances of their valuing the product is increased, and the customer chooses the product, and then it's produced, and the consumer uses, and then it's discarded. So extensive reduction of wastage from during the production and after the production is also expected. Just as an initial validation of the concept, whether it will be whether the consumers would try it or not, a quantitative survey was conducted where majority of the participants were between 18 and 24, and majority were female participants and belonging to urban and suburban area. The initial questions were what kind of shopping did they do. Most of them do physical shopping as well as both online and offline shopping. And currently they use the major qualities that they look for while buying is fit and sizing, quality, and price of the product. And when after the question was asked whether they will be willing to use such a concept. So concept was explained in the questionnaire what this concept is, and then after that the question was
Can you wrap it fast?
Yes, and then the question was asked whether they will be willing to do. So almost 50% were willing to try it for sure. Few were almost 20% were not sure. The answer was maybe. And what actually the one question was asked, what kind of features do they think actually exercise them to try such a model? So the availability of unique design and an opportunity to personalize was among the highest, and also the possibility of having a better sizing quality. Quantity is also one of the reasons that they find this model exciting. As a conclusion, this study actually proposes a concept that can actually be tried out in the with the consumers. So, and this survey is an indication that consumers are ready to move away from traditional models, and there is a scope for different kind of traditional retail models that can also be tried out. The study accepts the limitations that this is just a model and it cannot be completely taken as a black and white thing where I can propose that this will work for sure. But this is a scope. This is a scope that I can or a lot of the researchers can take forward and test different and multiple models like this, in which maybe it can lead to a better, inclusive and sustainable retail models in fashion and textile. Thank you.
Sure, mass customization, right? Do you think it's possible?
So it has been tried out, and
You know the cost, what you are doing. It's not possible one.
I cannot say that in a black and white whether it's been possible or not possible. But customization as a thing exists in brands like Nike also.
Customization is done, but mass customization, how will you do that? That's my question, basic fundamental question.
So have you encountered brands where they print on demand?
That's true, but it's not a mass customization. They print for me. They will, probably a fraction of people you can distribute the product. Right? Sitting in the room, everybody has different sizes, different colors. When will they get the product? Tell me.
It will not be as a traditional.
And also the cost factor.
Yeah, in the questionnaire also there was a question that was asked whether you will be willing to pay more if such a model is there.
You cannot call it as a mass customization. It's a niche market.
Mass customization was a different model that exists, which was catering to such a category where they customization for mass. So experiential customization is this thing that I have proposed.
They have to pay the price for it.
Yes. It will definitely be cost more than.
That is already there, right?
No, it's there in premium customers. I am trying to. So this is in between the premium and in between. So this concept is trying to cater that idea, and it can only be validated if I test it out in the market.
Do you know what Zara does?
Every 2 weeks they bring a new.
It's not customization, but they just copy the trends and what is happening in the market and
yes.
They make it right. But what you're saying, I don't think the price point and all, it will be like a premium product only. It cannot be under mass.
But Zara as such, I'm not sure whether it can be, for a very middle class society, it might be premium. But it's in the same, this can be in the same line of Zara. But Zara has to have a lot of production before coming into the market. And here that cycle is what it's being tried to break.
So you cannot do that, right? Every 2 weeks, 3 weeks changes.
I don't know.
First of all, my name is Sojourn.
What your friends call?
So.
That's good.
Yes. So, good evening once again. Here I'm standing here, presenting paper from SRM PhD second year, and then my topic today is rooted traditional and sustainable with practice of Tangkhul tribe of Manipur. And in this topic, the study that I introduced here is about the practice of all traditional dwelling rooms of the Tangkhul tribe of Manipur that is located at the northeastern most of India. And then here I'm going to show the documentation about their weaving practices and their narrative story about the weavers, the globalization, introduction, new era machine introduction to the place, and their historical beliefs and the traditional, how they introduce their identity in their culture. So the introduction. The introduction is about Tangkhul people, the tribe of that people, how their traditional was being followed from ancestors, how the weavers keep it traditional by the artisans weaving the stories in their with threads as a proving their living existence. This is to show that I will show you some samples of their traditional clothing. So I have prepared 7 samples, and then all have their own traditional stories behind every garment. The stories, I'll just share 1 to 3 of them. Some garments, they are when they weave it, when the weavers weave it, they share their thoughts, emotions, what the cultural have been followed from ancient times. They weave it in their yarns, and then it is keep us been ancestors that we are weaving from this identity, showing their own identity. These are some of the garments. This is one of the garments. It's called Luingam. This kind of a wrap skirt. This wrap skirt was introduced by, it says that it would, according to my research, I have heard that it takes more than 3 years to make this wrap skirt. It was a traditional wrap skirt dedicated to a lady who was being killed by an Indian army. So he was brutally murdered for bravery. Because of her bravery and to remember her, this garment was being weaved through hands to show the structure. It's kind of like the black, white. It shows the evil. In this traditional, they have their own color theory, and then this black shows the brutalness, evilness, and then how she stands justiceness against it. These are some of the garments, and I'll just share this one. This one is Raivat Kujuan. It's a shawl. Most of the traditional from Tangkhul tribe, they wear it as a wedding garments. When you are about to enter the bride's house, they wear it as a full garment representing their ancient folklore traditional, something like that. It was a story told about given by a Manipuri king for bravery to the eldest daughter of the family. And this is one of the shawl that has been followed and used till from ancient time till now. It's 2 shawl. One is Chongkhong Kujuan. It's a shawl. This shawl is worn by the eldest daughter of the family, only the chief daughter's wives, riches of the family. And the shawl is Haura Kujuan. It's a shawl for men. And this shawl is they come in 2 parts. One is for 5 panel, that is for a man of the tribe people, and 7 panel, that is for only the eldest son of the family. So every shawl garments have their own stories, keep from ancestors, and till now it has been woven. But I'll just go with the motif. Every shawl has their motif stories behind too, and these are some of the textiles. Every motif has own story textile too. I'll show you this. These are some of the motifs name, it's kind of name from a frog waist. There's stories about the 2 lovers who has been dedicated love story and then was being separated because of class distribution in the tribe. So in dedication to that, the boy was starved to death. So it says that if a frog was starved to death, they have ways that the whole body was being starved inside. So the motifs was taken from that. It's called bifurcation. And then lastly, this Jambu it's about two love stories in a tribe from since ancient time. They were in a love story, but then because of some they are against the family situationship, they were not that also. They were not. They don't know where they disappear, but they the grandma like great grandfathers, they have a story like they becomes an insect. It was taken from that like Jambu core. And then these are some of the motifs. We fit in a shawl. And then even if we have this, like, since we enter in a more traditional, more westernized now, we have faced many challenges, like the challenges were of now today's generation, loss of our traditional, like declining of this traditional because of introduction of westernization and then introduction of machine era. Because of that, our generation people, we are not focused on how the ancestors, how our great grandmothers they weave their traditional. We were more focused on our own self living. So I want to share about these challenges. Because of our negligence, many artisans who have been who have expertise in weavers, they are about to extinct, and then we want to get more into that to get more the limited research that we don't have. We must have to reserve it. That was my challenges, and then to that result. To preserve the artisans of the weavers who have about to extinct, like the traditional is long forgotten, about to be forgotten. Like most of the young generation people have forgotten the traditional weaving of that tribe itself. So it's best to preserve it. And to the conclusion, I want to say, as coming youth of this generation, I also want to be part of this, to preserve it and then learn to be part of it.
Anything on class? Thank you. Give us 10 minutes, we'll get back to you. You might can relax and talk among yourself.
So we are there's an evaluation sheet by the speakers. So we are going to find the average of that and we'll announce best paper. So please wait for another 5-10 minutes. We'll finish it.
Yes, photos are there. Videos are not. Yes, no, I have included the titles also, and this is the final. She wants to do the marks evaluation, so I'll just do that. Then we'll do the poster presentation. We need to conclude it on how many participants are there and who got the best paper. Okay. That should be the conclusion of the school. Okay. You tell me. Amrita. No, nobody. No, but this is Amrita's list, no? This is LVs. So we'll add all LVs. Okay, take it. 7. Amrita.
இல்லைம்மா ஒரு 5 minutes இவ்வளோ டைம் ஆகிடும். ஆமாம், அப்புறம் திரும்பி நம்ம அவங்க ஒவ்வொருத்தரும் வர வரைக்கும் வெயிட் பண்ணணும். சரி. இருக்கா?
I'll do that. No, I will tell me this order. 9, 7,
திரும்பி வெயிட் பண்ணுங்க.
6, 7, 6, 8, 7. Done. Yes. 7, 8, 9, 8, 7, 6. Done. 7.
Yes, we had an accident.
7. Total is 20.
हाँ total 12. Second row.
7,
7,
10, 7, 8, hello, 6, hello, சொல்லுங்கம்மா, சொல்லுங்க, 8, 9, 6, 8, ஆமாம்மா, இன்னும் முடியல எங்களோடது, எவாலுவேஷன் சர்டிஃபிகேட் டிஸ்ட்ரிபியூட் பண்ணிட்டு வரோம்மா, சரி சொல்லுங்க, next is 7, 8, 6, 8, 7, ஓ நான் 7 தான், நான் 9 தான் வரும். ஆமாம், நான் 10 பண்ணோம், பட் கரூர் நான் வந்து சேலத்தில் பண்ணிட்டோம்,
No, wait 1 second. Only. Yeah. Co-op.
Okay, what we know, we have to take the side.
To write.
You know how to do it?
That CM office secretary and dropped out the entire thing is down.